Hey everyone, and welcome to the StreamKick Podcast. I'm your host, Camper, and we have a really special and awesome special episode lined up for you guys tonight. I am joined, of course, by our resident community manager, the man who has never met a sticker he didn't like, Ace.
I have tons of stickers, all of whom I'm very fond of, yes.
And they're all over the place. What a quick cast update. You've got an upgrade.
I did. I got an upgrade this week. I got a nice little mechanical kind of thing. No,
it's not permanent anymore.
No, it's not permanent anymore. It comes on and off. It's the beauty.
Nice, buddy. Yeah. Let's be honest. How was that first shower?
It was great, and
I bet it was.
The smell. I was holding my breath the whole time, but it's all gone now.
That's awesome, man. Yes. Well, we are so excited for our guest tonight, so we're just going to go ahead and dive right in. We are joined by Matt Benson, who is the founder and CEO of eFuse, eFuse.gg or eFuse.io. Matt, you'll have to clarify for us, but it is the professional social network for esports and gaming. Matt, how are you, sir?
I am fantastic. It's a pleasure to be here, and it sounds like we had to get you guys some eFuse stickers.
Yes.
Heck yeah. We're all about sticker. We'll do a sticker swap after the show.
Yes.
Sounds great. I'm all about it.
That's awesome. So, Matt, talk to the StreamKick Podcast audience a little bit about sort of who you are. Just give them like the quick 2-minute who you are, how you got to where you are today, and then we'll dive in from there.
Yeah. The short of it is eFuse is based here in Columbus, Ohio. I'm born and raised here in Ohio. Grew up an hour south of Columbus in a small town called Chillicothe. Grew up a gamer. Grew up kind of wanting to be an entrepreneur. Right, always wanted to do my own thing. And fast forward a few years, while in college, had an opportunity to actually conduct research on gaming. So develop this 180-page report about all things esports. And video games, right? And as a college kid, it's like, damn, I love playing anyway. This is awesome. I'm totally
down for
this. Yeah, right. Yeah. This is what college is made for, right? So really enjoyed that. Kind of saw an opportunity to come in and be a central provider in a lot of ways for the gaming community. But sat on the idea at the time. Graduated from Athens at Ohio University. Made my way up here to Columbus. Started working at a venture capital firm where it was about a $40 million fund, investing in early stage tech companies. Had an incredible opportunity just to get that experience and what it was like to fundraise, what it was like to operate. Took all that in and said, hey, I finally got the skill sets. I'm passionate about this. I want to do my own thing anyway. Let's take a leap of faith, right? So jump ship, founded eFuse with my co-founder, Austin May, who is also born and raised in Southern Ohio and was working up here as a front-end software engineer, and we jumped ship to essentially create the LinkedIn for gamers. Quite a tall task, right? So jump ship to do that in August 2018, and from that point, we've been super fortunate to have some great early success and some community buy-in, and it's been a wild ride, and we're super fortunate, and hopefully keep going up.
So wait, August 2018. So here we are, August 2020. So are we officially 2 years at this point? How close are we to the anniversary date?
We're really close. So it's what is today? I don't even know the date, to be honest. August 6th. So we're 4 days ago. We're 4 days away from. It was August 10th is when we jumped ship. However, we didn't get a whole lot done the first year. So I like to say normally it's August 2019 is really when we had the full ramp up of the team. We had fundraised, done our first round of funding. That was the real kickoff date. It sounds better when it's only been a year, but it's been about 2 years since we first said, hey, let's do this thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, as a fellow founder, man, I count every day I got under my belt. So I give yourself credit. Take your 2 years. You've definitely earned it. Something you said that was really interesting, though. There's a lot of people that we kind of see in the community that we talk to and stuff that are maybe they're younger and they're interested in getting into gaming, or they already have some kind of career path in front of them, but they're like, I really wish I could do something gaming related because back when I was younger. There was no esports for one. And if you wanted to get into gaming, it was like you either worked for a publisher or a developer, or that was it. There was nothing else, right? There was no ecosystem like we have today for gaming, which is great. It sounds, just based on what you just said there, though, it sounds like either you were incredibly fortunate or you just made all of the right choices, but yours just kind of was like lockstep. Like you're into gaming as a kid, you got to school, you had an opportunity to do this this program, you did this report, and you're like, holy cow, I did this report. Now I know exactly what I want to do. Then you get into this, entrepreneurship program, and you're able to fundraise through that. You're able to start your company. I mean, am I missing something there, or were you just like the smartest guy in gaming?
Well, we are definitely not the smartest guy at gaming. That's for damn sure. But I've been super fortunate. I've had a lot of great mentors and people along the way that have helped us, and we've definitely had our ups and downs. I mean, there were moments in time, as I'm sure you can attest as a founder. There's times where you're like, I have no idea how we're going to get out of this, but you figure it out and you keep rolling. And we've just been super, super fortunate.
Yeah, it's part of the fun of doing it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What has you the most excited about the gaming industry as a whole right now? What are you most bullish about? What keeps you going?
So eFuse's goal, right, is ultimately to help connect gamers to one another. But even more broadly than that, we want to connect gamers to opportunities. And that takes a wide range of things, right? So that can be scholarships to a university to play a varsity team or get an education and a major around esports. That could be getting a job in the industry. That can be at the highest level, right? Getting to a pro team or just becoming a streamer. So all of these different opportunities are continuing to grow as the industry grows, right? So the way we look at it is as those opportunities begin to arise and as the industry grows, we want to be on the forefront to be able to help create that pipeline and really that map of sorts to, hey, here's how you get a job in gaming. Here's how you get a scholarship. So that's really what we're passionate about. So I'm really bullish just on the industry as a whole, and because it's not new, right? But because it feels so new, and there's so many new people that are coming in, new entities, new businesses, new universities. I think there's an incredible opportunity for us to really forge a tremendous path forward and make this an industry where there's tons of opportunities and there's a really tight-knit community around it as well. And that's what excites me the most.
Man, yeah, what a good time to be doing that too. Like now is definitely the best time to be doing that, something like that, connecting people in esports. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do, and we're definitely learning how to do that even more so, right? Because there's such a wide breadth of individuals that are in gaming and esports more broadly. You've got all kinds of different games, you've got all kinds of different ranges of talent and ranges of passion. So when you look at that, it's really hard to say, hey, we're going to help connect all of these individuals to opportunity. You've got to almost start in one single place and work your way out. But you're right. It's been a lot of fun. And there's so many opportunities that I think we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah, I mean, what's exciting about this industry is you're essentially looking at something that started as a cultural phenomenon, which was gaming in general, and there was an industry that grew up around it, of course, and then it's transformed into so much more, really, just in like the last 10 years. Social media had a lot to do with that, but then of course streaming came on the scene, and with streaming, that was sort of that that door opening moment that esports needed to really do its thing, right? Like esports always had like all this pent up potential, but it didn't have a vehicle to really get itself out because all of the stakeholders and all of the key holders for your more mainstream media outlets like television and such, they weren't going to touch that shit. They were just like, yeah, it's cool, but it's kids games, we're not really into that thing. And then streaming came on the scene, and all of a sudden it's like, we don't really need you anymore. And now it's them that are coming to streaming and coming to esports orgs and all of this, saying, hey, can we get a piece of this? And I love the fact that some of these leagues and publishers and orgs and all these other people that are involved are just like, nah, we don't need you guys anymore. It's just not, you missed the boat. Like, you had your chance, you didn't want us, and now we're huge. We're appealing to a demographic that you can't hope to touch, a demographic that's actively avoiding you, and you're trying to get your way back in. And it's like, no, it's not going to happen. But to Ace's point, talking about unifying that in some capacity, it is a very disjointed and very disparate industry right now. There's so many different elements that all play a part in this ecosystem that's grown up in the last decade. And what I think is great about what you guys are doing is you're really one of the only, if not the only, group that's out there that's looking at that holistically and saying, how can we pull the different pieces together and create something that is more than the sum of its parts?
I mean, that's a great way to put it. It's exactly how we look at it too. I mean, the ultimate takeaway from the research we did when I was in school was the industry is extremely fragmented. I mean, you've got all these sub communities, you've got all these different games, all these different organizations. What's the connective tissue that's bringing all this together? There's nothing, right? So eFuse's goal is to be that, is to bring people together. And we we often say the quote of rising tides raise all ships. And if we can all come together and really kind of lock arms and say, let's do this thing, like there's a lot that this industry can accomplish. And we just want to be a part of that and helping bring people together to collaborate.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I love that analogy too. I mean, that's something that we embody here at StreamKick as well. It's always about, if we're going to do something relative to the streaming industry, it needs to be something that's going to address all three parties. That's the platform, the streamer, and the viewer. It has to benefit all three. Otherwise, we just won't do it. As long as that's there, as long as that piece makes sense, then we'll say, great. That's like our first sanity check with anything that we do. So it's great to see that you guys are, of that same mentality where it's like, let's not just do this for us. Let's do this for the whole. What was it in that work you did on that report? I mean, 180 pages. That's insane. What was it that you did in there that was kind of like, was there like any one thing where you were like, oh shit, I got to solve this problem?
Yeah. So I think, looking back on it, it was like one of the more minor, and maybe not minor is the right word, but when you're looking at the broader market opportunity, it was one of the smaller niche pieces within it.
Right,
and that
perspective,
was in the collegiate space. You have these organizations that are now building teams. Essentially, a lot of universities are using it as a recruitment mechanism, but they're offering scholarships. They're building teams, right? They're trying to formalize these leagues. But I was familiar with the traditional sports. I mean, I grew up playing basketball, football, soccer, and was familiar with the traditional sports model of, hey, you get these statistics, you go to these college camps, and you ultimately get recruited. You go to play at Ohio State, you get a full ride scholarship. Like there's a pretty
very
defined
formulaic
path. Right. There's a path. What is that in gaming? I mean, we don't know. So how can we help be a part of that? So that's, along with the fragmentation, that was the piece that really caught my eye initially. And I think in part because I was in college at the time, is like, as these universities more and more continue to buy into this, what can we do as eFuse, or what could we build at the time to provide them a system, or a system of record, really, for the gamer to ultimately recruit them to play at their university. That was the initial niche that we went after, building out a portfolio that had your game stats, that had your socials, had your age, had the demographic information necessary to be recruited, and then connecting them to colleges. That was the first V1 of eFuse, MVP, right? And then from there, we've gone on to add jobs. From there, we've gone on to add tournaments, et cetera, et cetera. But that was like again, in the grand scheme of things, it's fairly small, but that was the piece that really caught my eye. And I still think, even today, that's going to be a big piece, but it's still so early to tell how that's going to shake out. The collegiate scene has a lot to figure out before I think it's truly ready for it. But I'd like to think that eFuse will be ready for when it catches up.
Yeah, I think I couldn't agree with you more. The collegiate scene to me feels like this sleeping giant that has just sort of started to rumble a little bit, but it's gonna blow up. And even to a lesser degree, I feel like high school has a ton of potential as well. I mean, I grew up in the South, and high school sports in the South is huge. It's just absolutely huge. College is just on an entirely different level, and then pro sports is big, like it is anywhere, but it's not the same as it is in other cities. It does, at least to me, it doesn't feel like it does in like maybe like New England, or maybe in like the California, the Southwest, places like that. But high school and college are just crazy, and I feel like this is that moment. Maybe flashpoint is too powerful a word, but it's that moment where high school and college are getting this opportunity to kind of hit the reset switch on their athletics and say, hey, maybe we're not, University of Florida, or maybe we're not Ohio State or Penn State or whatever, but we're such and such junior college, but man, we have a hell of a League of Legends team, or we have a hell of an Overwatch team. Like, we could actually compete at a national collegiate level, and we can establish ourselves as that school in our region. That's the school to be at to compete in that sport. Are you guys feeling the same thing? Like, are you seeing this? Are you talking to these high schools and these colleges to kind of like set the stage for them and prep for this to happen?
1,000%. I think like one thing that I like to think our team is really good at is we are extremely feedback driven. I often say we need to be the best listeners and the quickest actors. And so to do that, one of the things we've set up is ECAB and ESAB. So ECAB is the eFuse Collegiate Advisory Board. and ESAB is the eFuse Scholastic Advisory Board, so high school, college. And we've got 15 of the best program directors across the nation, ranging from junior colleges to the Big Ten schools, to anybody in between, right? So we have a very wide breadth of schools represented. But from that, we're learning a lot. Like, what do their processes look like today? What are the things they're looking for? And how can eFuse help to best serve those? So the tools that we're building, the next version of eFuse, is going to be tailor-made for these organizations for that specific function, right? So we try to be the best listeners and the quickest actors. And I think it takes understanding you don't know it all and having the humility to go and listen and have the conversation. So we take a lot of pride in that.
Yes, that's awesome. I mean, it sounds like an ideal futuristic situation to get this all developed and work on it. I feel it personally, and as somebody in the younger demographic, like, a lot of the threat and a lot of the hesitation is monetizing all of the things and all of these operations, especially at like a high school and college level. So how much of what you're doing and what you do will be like driven for that monetization, the capitalization?
Yeah, here's the beauty of it. eFuse is completely free, and for the foreseeable future, we're going to be that way. The way we think about it is we want to, when we build the strongest network in gaming, the biggest network in gaming, we'll figure out how to monetize it, but we have no intention of ever inhibiting somebody accessing opportunity by a monetary barrier. That's just not who we are. We're for the gamers, right? We want to always provide those opportunities in a really unique fashion that's efficient for them. So as far as monetization goes for us, we have a few business models that we'll be introducing over the next couple months, but it's nothing in regards to inhibiting opportunity or adding a barrier of entry to the baseline gamer, really. Our goal is to provide them tools in the network to achieve their dreams and take passion and turn to profession.
Yeah, right. That's beautiful for sure. So when you're connecting like colleges and these athletes, is that kind of the main connection that's evolving the college scene? Is that kind of the connection that you're looking for, is when this younger demographic of people who kind of don't know where to go, or they think they have a grasp on gaming or esports, is this going to be a tool that's going to connect people to their next step in gaming or esports? Or is this more of like a tool for the colleges themselves, or for the organization or platform themselves to kind of feel out other places in that same space?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a combination of both, right? At the end of the day, eFuse is a marketplace. On one end, you've got talent. On the other end, you've got opportunity. So it's a really hard business. Marketplaces in general are very hard businesses to build, because you've got to kind of raise them up at the same time, supply and demand sort of deal. So on one end of the spectrum, what ultimately we want to do for talent is give them a place where they can come and say, hey, this is my record in gaming. This is who I am. These are my socials. These are my game stats. This is my experience. These are my highlight clips. This is the single place of truth for me. And then from that, enable a college coach, enable a pro team, enable a job recruiter even to come in and say, hey, this is the individual I'm looking for. These are the statistics. This is the resume of sorts for a gamer that I need for this role. So it's a combination of both, but without one or the other, it doesn't work.
Yeah, and I think it's so cool. Like I was messing around the platform or the website earlier, and one of the things that I found so interesting and so important is that even when I'm like doing the quick sign in and I'm making my account, and it's like, what are your skills, your experience and everything like that, and then it's like in-game attributes, and it's like teamwork and involvement and coordination, whatever they were. And I think that's so cool, because that kind of stuff is like overlooked, and a lot of the points, a lot of the when people are arguing for esports, maybe being a sport or being more recognized as a sport, or even legitimate at all, one of the things that they argue is like these are attributes that are not only relevant but adjacent to maybe the sports industry, or and those are kind of overlooked by people on the outside, I feel. And having that as just like a automatic, as just a natural given on the platform, I think is so important and creative as well. It's cool.
Well, appreciate that. We can't take credit, actually. That was an insight that came from ECAB. It's like when I'm recruiting somebody to join my team, and you think traditional sports, the same analogy, right?
Yeah.
I need to know their skills, but if they don't fit into the culture, like, then I don't want them. Or if they don't play well with this teammate, then it might not make sense. So that was an insight that came from eChem, actually, that we ended up implementing. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. I feel like it's so it's so versatile, and like I'm thinking of 13-year-old myself looking for like a clan to compete in clan wars of Call of Duty or something like that, and it would be relevant there, and it'd be relevant for 20-year-old me looking for jobs in esports. So it really kind of spreads that, in my opinion, does exactly what you're aiming for it to do. So.
Well, I appreciate that, and to be honest, that was kind of me in school too. Is like, if I even wanted to, I don't know where the hell I'm going to start. So in a way, it was like kind of building what could have been for myself in some extent, like what I was trying to do. So I definitely feel you, and I think we're getting there, right? And we have a lot of work to do. But if you look at the site, January 2nd, which is when we launched, to now, it's completely different. And I'd like to think 10x what it was, right? And it'll just continue to grow and get better, and we're going to continue to take feedback and make it better.
So speaking of like growing, and we're talking about the industry growth, one of the things that is really relevant now is kind of the franchising of esports, and we're seeing a little bit more of like the amateur scene kind of fading away in a sense, and more franchising of esports titles, esports games, esports leagues. What role does that play in eFuse and the marketplace that you operate? And what kind of sense do you think that has for the scene in general? And I mean, while it is really beneficial to the scene, I feel like it also kind of phases out a lot of younger players. So how do you think that plays into what you do?
Yeah, so I think, like, zooming out for a quick second and talking about like leagues, teams, the franchise model, right? We'll have to see how it plays out. And I think that there are some that are doing it better. I'll kind of keep my opinions to myself. But I think at the end of the day, it's important for them to succeed because it enables the non-endemic brands to make sense of the industry in a lot of ways. When they understand the Call of Duty League's franchise model and say, hey, this is the same thing as the NBA. We have a team in every city, where like that helps a Popeye say, hey, thumbs up, cool, it makes sense to me. I want to be involved, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that is valuable from the eFuse perspective. Ultimately, we do believe that it's going to require non-endemic brand dollars. It's going to require non-endemic organizations coming into the scene for this thing to be the peak of what it can be. And what we want to do as time goes on is help bring in these non-endemic organizations into the scene and help kind of assimilate them and help them make sense of the industry. And in doing that, it'll provide opportunities on eFuse as well. A great example of this is actually Seth. So we've done it on a couple of different realms, right? So from an organization perspective, I'll save that. But from an individual perspective, one thing that we learned really early on when we started doing this, especially when we were looking at the collegiate scene, is athletes love, like traditional athletes, also love to game. Seth Curry.
Oh yeah, big time.
Loves to, like, when he's not playing basketball, the guy is playing Call of Duty, and he's not bad. Like, he's probably better than me. But these guys are trying to make sense of how they get themselves more involved. And not all of them they're all at different levels, right? But Zeke Elliott is a great example. Buckeye, so I'm kind of a little biased now at Dallas, right? Running back. But Zeke played all the time, had never streamed before. So we actually put on an event called Arena Warzone, where we brought together some of the biggest streamers in the world. They were playing Warzone with some of the biggest athletes. And we went to Zeke and we were like, hey, Zeke, we want you to play in this. Would you stream it? So his first time ever streaming was in this massive event where we helped connect a fan to play with Zeke, to play with Doug is Raw and Ali Long, all on one single team. And they're playing together all the time now. But now Zeke's streaming. Now he's assimilated into the industry. That individual, his name just slipped in my mind. I can't remember his name. That's going to drive me crazy. But he's playing with Zeke on and off all the time now, and that's an incredible collaboration, right? Yeah. So it's things like that sort of bring the clashing of cultures together, and I think will be the binding tissue that helps further the industry. So those are things that we want to be involved in, and it provides opportunities for our community as well.
Yeah, I think that example that you just mentioned, Matt, though, I think is super important, because what that does, to your point about non-endemic brands, that illustrates the non-endemic brands that the things the um you know the movements they're involved in, whether it's sports or something cultural, whatever, there's not, like, those things are already interwoven with the stuff they're not involved in, right? So you take the NFL or just professional sports in general, it's one tournament or one Call of Duty Warzone match away from now two people who didn't even know each other exist. Well, one person knew the other existed. Let's be honest. Ezekiel Elliott didn't know this other guy existed, and now they're playing together. And he's now streaming and doing what he's doing, and it just took one event to do that, right? They're that close, and I think that's the thing that I think has been so frustrating for a lot of people on this side. I'll say the gaming side of this whole thing is that they're saying like, hey, we're not that far away from you guys. You just gotta just let it go. Like, let it be organic, let it kind of flow together, let it happen. And here you guys are doing exactly what you do, where you're saying, let's create an event where that just happens, right? You go to Ezekiel Elliott and say, hey man, you want to do this thing? And he's like, sure man, I'll do it. Right. And then next thing you know, he's doing it. And now look what's happened, right? You've altered the course of people's lives. Now these two cultural aspects of our society are now truly, they're showing just how interwoven they actually are. They were never separate from the beginning. It's just that when it got corporate, and when brands were getting involved or not getting involved, making that choice, that's where it was looking like it was separated, but in reality it never really was.
Yeah, and it requires like this glue of sorts where they're all on the same page. We're all sort of working towards the same goals, and everybody's sort of on the same understanding of, hey, this is where we're trying to go, and we're going to have to let go in some places, and we're going to hang tight in others. But at the end of the day, again, rising tides raise all ships, and it takes that sacrifice to bring in some non-traditional entities and non-traditional individuals like a Zeke. But you're spot on.
So I want to shift gears a little. Yes, I feel like we got a little bit ahead of ourselves here, which is fine. But we haven't really talked so much about eFuse as a business, and I'd love to dig into that a little bit more. What's your guys' business model right now? How do you make money today?
We don't. So we are actually, so we went on the venture capital route, right? So we went and we raised $2.3 million on a convertible note. That was my background. We went and re-raised that, and we went out and built a team around it. And our goal is not right now to figure out how to monetize the gaming community. Our goal right now is to build a really sticky platform that provides a lot of value, that brings people back every single day. And we'll figure it out when the time comes. And that may scare some people away, right? But we believe it's the best way for us to build our business is to go and just provide value, right? We want to be for the gamers. So, right, I mean, we have the ability to flip on digital ads on the site, and we can make some good money there. We have the ability to launch a premium service literally in a month. We have ability to add on dollars to access our recruiting tools. But it's such a short-term mindset from our perspective that we're saying, hey, let's give these tools for free. Let's provide so much value that people want to come back every single day. And then when the time comes and the network's big enough and sticky enough, we'll flip those tools on, or we'll find other methods to monetize. But right now, it's all about value. It's all about being for the gamers. It's all about providing life-changing opportunities.
So that funding for you guys was more just an accelerator, more a catalyst than anything else, and a lot less a necessity than it was just to hey, let's get to our end goal sooner.
For sure, it's we had an initial spark, right? I'll give a lot of credit to my co-founder Austin May. I have zero coding ability, so he's the one that's
it's relatable.
Actually going and putting the work in, right, and making this thing happen. So he built an MVP. Again, it was the college and bringing high school kids in, helping them build a portfolio. But from there, it enabled us. We had this sort of little spark or little coal, right? And we were able to go get some funding to pour gas in the fire, ramp up the team. We went and hired a CTO that was a director at Facebook, and then Netflix brought him in. We've scaled up the engineering team. We've built out our partnerships organization. We've got partnership deals with all kinds of teams. We have non-traditional organizations like the NBA that are involved. We work with ESPN very frequently. So we've got some really great partnerships, some really great people on the team, but it was absolutely, that funding was an accelerator for us. And we'll be continuing to do that in the coming years.
That's great. What are some of the things that you think as an organization that you guys have done really well, and what are some of the things maybe where you guys stumbled and you think you still have some opportunities?
Yeah, I would say there's probably three things that we've done really well, right? So the first one is I think we understood we didn't know what we didn't know. We came in and we listened. So that's point number one. We're very feedback driven. Again, want to be the best listeners, quickest actors. I think that's helped us a lot. We're building a platform for the community, not ourselves, keeping that top of mind. Number two is I think we went and we associated ourselves with the right individuals in the industry, in the sense that we worked with some really great influencers. We worked with some really great industry leaders, guys like Sundance DiGiovanni, like Adam Apicella, Nicole Pike, who is at Nielsen's now at Yuga. Those individuals who are within the organization, right, or are around the organization, they've helped us take us to the next level. And I think in a lot of ways, kind of given the stamp of approval to the industry to say, hey, you guys should at least check out eFuse. They're not just some scam artists coming in trying to weasel their way in and build a network, right? We're really here for the community. So that stamp of approval.
That validation is important.
Exactly, that validation. And then piece number three is I feel like we've built a really great team that is impact driven. Like impact is our North Star. And because of that, we built some really cool things very quickly. We launched on, just to provide some numbers, we launched the first version of the product, which was beta, on December 10th, 2019. And we had a goal of getting 10,000 people on this early access list. Overnight, we had 25,000 people sign up for this early access list. January 2nd, we opened up our doors. And from then on, I mean, we've got hundreds of thousands of gamers that have created accounts, accessed opportunities. And we've seen along the way life-changing opportunities actually happen, where people are winning scholarships, they're winning tournaments, they're playing with Zeke. And that's been really, really cool. But it's fueled our team, and it's a credit to our team for building things quickly and with impact as a North Star. So I think those three things in particular are what we've done really well. Where we've not been so great, there's a lot of ways we haven't been so great, right? We've learned a lot along the way. Trying to think of a specific instance. I think one thing is we tried to, early on, we wanted to boil the ocean, right? There's so much opportunity. I think a lot of companies try to do this. And we're thankful that we've had sort of mentors to sort of narrow our focus. But initially it was a land grab. We just wanted to let's help as many people as possible. Let's get as many opportunities on here as possible.
Get while the getting's good.
But the reality is, like, if you don't do it really well, we call it the elite way. If you don't do it the elite way, then you're not going to be able to bring people back every single day. They're not going to get the value they could. Do it really, really, really well, and then you can expand out from there. Again, a great example of that is we actually built a service that we call Arena. And it's a white label tournament service that has been used for a number of tournaments that many people may not know about. So Keemstar did Warzone Wednesday, right? We were actually the back-end tournament service for that. So the leaderboard extensions that were on there, the keempark.com website, all of the ad spots, everything that went into that, like we did the backend for that. It was completely white label. But we built that, and then what we said is, hey, we can do this for a lot of different people. So that's when we launched Arena Warzone. We're like, we're going to do our own twist on this as well. Then we used it for the Mutineers down your guys' way, right? They did a tournament. We've used it in a lot of different situations now. Now we're doing one tournament called Women of the Arena, where the best female gamers in the world are coming together to compete for a $20,000 prize pool on August 13th. It's the first ever female-only Fortnite tournament. So it's going to be really cool. But things like that, we've done a really good job of sort of bringing people together, doing it the right way, and it's enabled us to continue to add value in a bunch of different ways as well. So those are a couple things that we've been done really well, and a couple of things that we haven't done necessarily very well.
Yeah, it's easy. A lot of the stuff you said there is very relatable. We were in a similar spot and have been even for a few years, where it's like we continue to see opportunities where we look at things from a streaming perspective, right? You guys are a little more holistic at, the entire ecosystem. We're focused a little more just on the streaming side. And, we keep seeing these opportunities come up that other people aren't satisfying. And we're just like, shit, we could do that. we could do that. We could do that. And you get into these situations where you're potentially going to find yourself in a lot of trouble if you try to boil the ocean, as you put it. So it's completely understandable. Matt, you had tweeted back in April that actually I believe it was I'm going to pull it up here real quick. It was the eFuse official thing, and it was you on stage. It looks like you were sporting your COVID cut, man, because you had a good buzz going on there. Um, but you had they had tweeted on there, you were on stage, you were speaking about something. I don't follow exactly what it was, but you had said something about how eFuse is a place for, I quote, the industry to everyone in the industry to professionally collaborate. That when I heard you say that, I was like, shit, that makes perfect sense. Like, why hasn't this been done before? So you guys had to have asked that question at some point too. Like, why hasn't anyone tried to do what you're doing before? Why has that space, as you put it, that land grab, not been grabbed?
I think so first of all, I'll say I think we're still proving ourselves there. I do think we have the tool set to do it right, and I think we've got initial great traction there. But I think it's really twofold, right? So one, it goes back to the stamp of approval. There are, whether we want to admit it or not, we have industry leaders that have the ability to say, yes, this we approve, or no, this is not a great thing, right? And that's the power of influence in anything. You could say the same thing about basketball. LeBron James says this basketball company sucks. I'm not buying their basketball, right? So we have industry leaders that can do that. So I think we've been fortunate to get the stamp of approval again from some of the industry leaders. I think the second thing is people come in and it can come off unauthentic by you coming in and just trying to, again, monetize right off the bat. We wanted before the gamers. We provided opportunity first. And then I think the last thing too is just making sure that the tools actually do what they say they're going to do, right? So at the end of the day, again, free to use platform. We want you to be able to come in, network with anybody, and have the tools necessary to do that. So I don't think it's not been tried before. I just think that the way, either timing wise or for whatever reason, right, nobody has been able to do it. And I think it's a combination of industry approval, having the right toolkit, and having that authenticity that really makes something like this work. At the end of the day, we're sort of creating this like social contract for individuals in the ecosystem to say, hey, eFuse is the place that we're going to do business, that we're going to collaborate. Like, that's not something that eFuse can come and say, hey, we're going to do that. Like, you guys, now this is the place you professionally collaborate. That's something
you have to earn it.
You have to earn it. Exactly. And so when the industry says that, it works. I think we're getting to that point. We have a good track record so far, but it's an ongoing sort of proving ground.
Yeah, I think going back to something you said before, just about how fragmented the industry is. You guys are essentially, you're positioning yourselves. eFuse is to sort of be that glue to pull it back together. But it's like, if you drop a glass and it breaks into 3 pieces, that's a lot easier to fix than when you drop a glass and it breaks into 3,000 pieces. That's kind of where the industry is right now, because it's just organically evolved into just being a very fragmented type industry. That's not to say that that's necessarily right or how it should be. It's just that that's a tough thing to fix, right? So it's great that you guys are tackling this, and it's good to hear that you have a good mindset about it and your hearts are in it, because I think that's really what it needs. You also mentioned you guys have been doing all kinds of different events. You did the white label thing for Warzone Wednesday and stuff like that, which I think is really cool. How important have those events been to the development of the eFuse brand and the community that you guys have been building around the brand? How tightly woven into that aspect of it have these events been for you guys?
Yeah, I think the short of it is big, right? I mean, it's been a great opportunity for us to build relationships, build the brand, and just showcase who we are. And the truth of it is, like, Warzone Wednesday, when we were first approached by Keem and his team about that, it was like something we sort of did off the cuff, like, hey, we've got great engineers. We'll try it. We'll build it real quick. Literally built the white label service in a week with our engineering team. They're incredible. We build this, we ship it.
That is amazing. Actually.
Yeah, dude, they're incredible. I cannot do it again. I'm not an engineer, but they build this thing. We get it out there. It runs so smoothly. We have great reception to it. Everybody loves it. And we're like, oh man, I think we might have found something here. So again, that's when we took it and we sort of ran with it. But in doing that, it's enabled us to provide a lot of value to a lot of people and build relationships that we wouldn't have built prior. So, for example, the ESPN relationship, like David and his team over there, like they're incredible, right? They do things at the highest level. All of ESPN does, right? It's elite,
Mm-hmm.
everything that they do. So to win their trust, like we had to not only consecutively perform and put on great events and help bring in great talent and do all these great things, but even when they did take the chance on us, we had to execute that even at an elite level. So I think what Arena has done, again, that's what we call the white label service. What that has done is it has enabled us to build relationships, and in doing that, provide opportunities through those events for our community. So it is sort of this like circular mechanism, this viral loop, if you will, that allows us to build a brand, build relationships, and add value to our community. So they've been huge.
Yeah, I can only imagine just like how for all the efforts that you put out, organizing and implementing and executing an event like that, or even just doing the back end or something like that can really pull things together. And I'm really curious. The streaming community in particular is one of those aspects of this industry that's really fragmented, that's really confusing and really overwhelming. Uh, there's so many options both for streamers and viewers, and so much of it is just evolving at one time, that it's really confusing for people on all sides of the spectrum. Um, Whether it's streamers going for brand deals, or agencies, or signing with organizations, or even if it's just developing their own content. How do you feel eFuse fitting into that streaming community, both now and as it evolves?
Yeah, so we're actually going to announce some really cool tools for creators more broadly. We're funny enough, we're calling them creator tools. So creator tools will be launched here, and probably we have a beta test out right now with, I think it's about 1,000 creators. So we'll be launching that more broadly. So more to come there. But ultimately, we want to provide tools that enable them to do their job more effectively, right? So that's piece number one. But I think the other thing is we want to continue to provide opportunities for them too. And I think what we've realized through this, through doing this, and really through the arena events, is streamers and creators want to give back to their communities too. Like they realize how impactful, like they wouldn't be there without their communities, right? And they realize that, and they want to provide value to them. So one of the things in collaborations you'll see us doing more and more is we're actually going to be launching a series where we're going to be running creator tournaments. So Legion will run a tournament where for his community, come in and eFuse will house that, we'll help develop that. And there will be an opportunity at the end of the day, maybe for a cash prize or the opportunity to play with Legion. And again, those are life-changing things for his community, but it not only shows Legion, hey, we're willing to invest in you and your community, but it gives his community and ultimately the broader gaming community an opportunity to access something that could be life-changing. So that's one activation or one instance in which we're hoping to continue to provide value. But fully agree with you in the sense that it's largely uncharted territory. There's a lot to still be uncovered and learned, and our goal is just to provide the tools and the resources to make it as powerful as possible.
Yeah, the streaming platform. Obviously, this is an area that we're passionate about.
Yeah.
This is kind of the side of the tracks where we sit, so to speak. But the streaming platforms themselves have not done a very great job of giving the creators ways for them to promote their brand outside of the platform itself, right? The platforms are great for that, right? They're great brand building tools, but they're not the be all end all. And as you see from streamers who get deplatformed for whatever reason, whether you believe it's justified or not, it kind of depends on where you land on that. They can lose their livelihood overnight. And so we actually talked about this a few episodes back, just how important it is for streamers, especially to diversify kind of where they live in this this space, right? So platform is great. That can kind of be like your main home where you live 8 months or 9 months out of the year, but then you kind of have like your fun spots that you go to, and those might be other social networks or YouTube or whatever it may be. I think what you guys have got is a cool middle ground for the streamers who are trying to do what we just described, but they aren't big enough yet to warrant having actual representation and working with an agency. They're still kind of on that like DIY level where it's really up to them, and they're kind of having to own that and just incorporate that into their process. But how, if I was a streamer and I was looking at eFuse, my first thought is going to be, okay, how is this going to help me as a streamer to be a better streamer, to reach a wider audience, to do things like that? So how would you speak to that? What would be your advice for streamers who want to use eFuse to use it most effectively?
Yeah, so I would say there's probably three things that we can help with, right? So one is, and as you all probably well know, streaming with other individuals who may be at your same level or a little bit bigger can help diversify your audience and build your audience along the way. So being able to come on eFuse and network with individuals like a Choco Taco and say, hey, Choco, you want to play some PUBG together? You want to play some Warzone together? Like that can take their stream to the next level. And there's not many places where you can establish that one-to-one connection like eFuse, right? Twitter is more of a fandom. Twitch, YouTube, that's more of a fandom and entertainment experience, while eFuse is more focused on that networking component, right? So I think there's that aspect. I think piece number two, and it's outside of the network, but goes back to the opportunities, the ability to apply to play in events like Arena Warzone. We want to provide those breakthrough moments. We actually are doing something really cool right now with the eSports Awards, if you're familiar with them, where we're doing the For the Gamer. It's a kind of a long name. Probably should have shortened the name, but it was the For the Gamers Esports Breakthrough Award. So the idea is we're giving $10,000 to an individual to sort of take their game to the next level. So not only are they getting that $10,000, they'll be presented the trophy or the award on the live stage or maybe live stream pending COVID, right? At the Esports Awards, they're going to get the publicity of eFuse, other creators, and the Esports Awards to sort of kind of showcase them to a broader audience. And it's going to be really cool, right? But those breakthrough moments, things like that, we want to continue to provide those opportunities, plus the network. And then the third piece is, and I mentioned it just a second ago, are the tools we're building. We want to make their jobs more efficient. We want to provide them tools that can increase their discoverability, which obviously is one thing that you guys do really well. But how can we add to that? How can we make their lives more efficient? So those are things that we're thinking about. And I think if you're a streamer and you want to have that breakthrough moment, you should be coming on eFuse. You should be networking. You should be putting in the time. The reality is, like, it takes time, it takes effort, but we want to give you the tools and the opportunities, if you're willing to put in that effort, to take that passion and really turn it into a profession.
That's awesome. You guys, you said this a bunch since we've been talking tonight, and I feel this is you're doing a lot of interesting stuff. I feel this is one of the more interesting things you're doing, and I think it'd be crazy if we didn't talk about this. But you guys have this For the Gamers campaign, and I was looking at that on social, and I love this notion. I love how the notion of challenging yourselves to do something incrementally, but to stay consistent with it, and then to also make it something that's actually impactful at the same time. So for the sake of those that are listening or that are watching on YouTube, 52 weeks, 52 influencers, 52 scholarships, if I understand it correctly. Talk to me about the logistics behind something like it's hard enough to do anything weekly 52 weeks in a row, but then to coordinate this, because you're going to need 52 individual people plus the people in your organization plus coordinating scholarships and everything else. Unpack that for us a little bit, because I think this is
so we initially, it was scholarships. We sort of retailored it under life-changing opportunities. And the way we're doing that, so it is 52 weeks, 52 influencers, 52 life-changing opportunities. The whole notion behind For the Gamers is, again, we're for the gamers. We want to provide them life-changing opportunities. But to do that, we want to use those industry leaders like a Sundance D. Giovanni to give away a scholarship and empower that leader in the industry to say, hey, here's my investment back into the industry. Even though it may not be their money, their sort of words of wisdom, that mentorship relationship that could be created is really impactful. So as far as logistics go, we'll approach a creator. Again, let's use Sundance I think he was the first one. Sundance's scholarship. So what we did is we went to Sunny. We said, hey, you're the top of the cream of the crop, if you will. People look up to you. I think it would mean a lot if you would be willing to do a For the Gamers scholarship. We'll foot the bill. All we ask is that you help promote it and you help sort of pump up the winner, right? So Sonny was like, yeah, and if you know Sonny, he's just a great guy, wants to like build up the industry. That's what he's all about. He said, yeah, let's do it. So we did it. The way it happened is Sundance promoted on his socials, said, hey, go apply for my scholarship on eFuse. Housed on eFuse, we had a couple thousand people apply for it. And then from that, we work with the Varsity Sports Foundation Well, shout out to Bubba who runs that. He's a great guy. They're doing some great work, but they actually go through and they vet and handle all the logistics that go behind a scholarship. But one thing that's cool too is Sonny got to kind of set up the requirements, right? Like I want the individual to be, I can't remember his in particular, but like I want them to be in the United States. I want them to be, they're passionate about gaming, right? I want them to maybe have a stream on Twitch. Like you can put those requirements in there. So it gives the creator or the influencer or the industry professional the ability to really tailor the scholarship and have meaningful impact. But it gives the individual that wins that a genuinely life-changing opportunity. And we have great partners and great technology that enable them to do that, like Varsity Sports Foundation and like the Opportunities Portal on eFuse.
Were there any particular life-changing opportunities that you guys have done throughout this whole campaign that to you were just like, shit, like I want to get that? Like, were there really any that like stood out that much to you?
There's been a couple that I've like, I think like the Zeke one is one of the top ones for me. Like I love that one, but one that meant a lot was we had this individual on our site named Pablo, and Pablo's been around from the very beginning, and he's just been like so uplifting, so about the community, and it's just a genuinely good dude. He's actually gearing up to go to college, and he had been applying for scholarships, and we try to keep our hands out, right, because we don't want to like get in the way of anything. So Bubba and his team sort of go through that and vet it, but like Pablo ended up winning a scholarship and being selected for one, and I think he won a couple grand through the scholarship. But we went to Pablo and we said, "Hey man, like you won," and he literally broke down in tears and was talking to us about his situation. And it was like, man, that is just an incredible feeling for just a brief moment. It's like, not that we really did anything, like he earned that, he did it, but to say that eFuse provided an opportunity that genuinely changed Pablo's life and provided him the ability to buy equipment to go to school. Like the fact that eFuse could change one life is what it drives me every day, right? Like I just love the idea of us being able to provide those opportunities, and to even if it changes one life, it's worth it. And that's how we view it. And it's situations like that make it all worth it. And shout out to Pablo, shout out to Bubba, but that was a really cool one as well.
That's awesome, man. Do you know what Pablo's studying by chance?
I can't remember which college he ended up at. I want to say it was UCLA. I'm pretty sure he was going in for under like just a general business major. I can't remember off the top of my head. He's definitely out in Cali. But yeah, I'll have to go back and look. But we still keep up to date with him. Like so now he like will emails us every once in a while, checking in, just giving life updates, and vice versa. If he has
That's great, man.
feedback on the site. So it's relationships like that I'll never forget. And like hell or high water, like that's something that I'll never forget, and I'll always appreciate it.
Yeah, those are the kinds of memories that you take with you. You know, no matter where things go, you know, you always bring that stuff with you wherever it takes you. So, hey, that's great, Matt. This has been awesome, man. I had a blast talking with you tonight. I think we'd love to have you back on sometime in the future too, and just get an update on what's going on with eFuse. We use the platform. We love the platform. We definitely underutilize the platform. I think there's a lot more that we could get from it. So I might have to hit you up on the side, get some pro tips on eFuse. But before we leave, we always like to give our guests a quick chance to do a shout out for their contacts. Whatever you want to share, take a minute and fire away, man.
I appreciate that. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you guys. I mean, this has been a lot of fun. I'm really grateful. The work you guys are doing is incredible. And I think it's also having a really large impact, and having conversations like this is important too, right? And your ability to listen, your ability to challenge and just have a conversation. It's so meaningful. So appreciate your guys' work and your time, and just grateful to be here. On top of that, I mean, you can find me pretty much on all socials. I think it's Matthew J. Benson on all of them, but find me on eFuse. It's at MJB. So find me there. If you want to start a conversation, if you want to get a hold of eFuse, or we're always down to talk. We're always down to just have the conversation. Again, rising tides raise all ships. So appreciate y'all. This was a lot of fun, and definitely down for the next one.
Most definitely, man. Well, good luck to you. Good luck to eFuse. Everyone that's listening, everyone that's watching on YouTube, guys, definitely go and check the site out. They've built something that's really cool. I've been on there, I want to say, Well, I guess Matt, you can probably check and see how long I've actually been on there, but I want to.
We'll look at your OG number.
Like,
we'll find out.
Yeah, I feel like you probably have access to that information. I want to say it's probably like January, February-ish. So I feel like I was like kind of early, but not like the earliest. But
that's early.
But anyway, I've enjoyed it, and it's really cool just seeing how much it's evolved and just even these very short, super fast last 8 months that we've had here in 2020. So anyway, Matt Benson, thank you so much. For everyone that's listening, we appreciate you guys, as always, dropping and listening to the show. If you could give us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, or on Podchaser, we would greatly appreciate it. On social, we're very easy to find. Twitter and Instagram, it's at StreamKick Pod, StreamKick POD. On the web, at StreamKick.com, and on Facebook at Watch StreamKick, and on eFuse at StreamKick. That will now be a permanent addition to our call outs on the show. That was a mistake, but we'll fix that. Ace, where can everybody find you, buddy?
Yes, as always, find me on Twitter at Ace Aspires.
All right, that wraps up this episode. Thank you to Matt. Thank you to Ace. Thank you to everyone for listening. And we will catch you guys on the next StreamKick podcast. Take care.